Hi everyone. Today I'm starting a new series of videos that focuses around collecting. I get a lot of questions related to why do I collect and some of the logistics around collecting. So I decided to share some of the thoughts for people to take into consideration if they're going to start collecting or if they're already collecting as a reflection point to ensure they're thinking about all the different dimensions that collecting involves. You know, I encounter a lot of different people or collectors that are a little bit lost in what they're doing. And again, I highly recommend you think about it. And some of the basic questions sometimes are the most important questions. You know, the primary question I would start out with is, why do you want to start collecting? Or why are you collecting? Okay. And there's many different answers, and there's really no right or wrong answer. You just have to be happy with the answer, but recognize that answer for yourself. Okay. What do I mean by that? You know, there's people that collect for the pure satisfaction, the joy, for reminiscent of memories, and for the feelings that they carry for some of those games. There's some people that collect it as an art style, and then there's some people that collect it as an investment. And you're starting to see more and more of that nowadays, especially with some of these crazy auctions that you're hearing about. Really, people are starting to get into this as an investment. You really got to think about it and decide for yourself what is your main objective with that collection that you want to build, to ensure that you don't lose track along the way, because believe me, there'll be plenty of temptations that you encounter, different opportunities, different things that come up. And you know, at least me personally, I always reflect back to the main purpose of my collection. And from some of the videos you've probably seen, me, it comes from the passion I have about video games, storytelling, and the memories I have from childhood. Okay. Once you understand your true motives around that collection, then it opens up the door so that you collect it and start building up your collection in that fashion that's going to meet those objectives. The next thing that you really need to think about is, what type of collection do I want and what condition of a collection I want. And what I mean by that is, you know, video games you can buy in many different formats. You can buy them brand new, sealed, and have them there as a point of exhibit, of pride, or an investment. You can buy them open, complete, but mint, in box, etc. You can buy them with different statuses of that, or just the loose media itself, whether it's a cartridge or a CD. And the reason that it's really important to figure out and decide early on what you want to do there is, if you don't, you're going to find yourself rebuying major parts of your collection. And you know, that's extremely time consuming, frustrating, and it gets very expensive. Okay. So figuring that out as soon as you can, and when you're in the middle or starting a collection, will help you drive into that satisfaction point later on. You know, sharing some of my own stories and opinions. When I started my collection, I've been collecting for over 20 years, really more than that. I have some titles that have been with me since childhood. When you're a kid, obviously, your amount of care that you have for video games is different. Okay. And what I mean by that is, some of the pieces I have from my early childhood are not in that great state because I played the heck out of them. So, you know, as you start to get into your collection, or at least me, and I've developed and matured a little bit on the status and the condition. Yeah, I've had many occasions that I've repurchased or upgraded, I guess, the quality of some of the items in my collection. And it's painful to do that, especially when you start out some of these purchases and you find them at a certain price point, and later on when you want to upgrade them, they're at a very different price point, and you end up spending a lot more money to do so. So again, the sooner you figure that out, the better it is, and the more satisfaction you'll have, and the more money you'll save. Okay, in that line too, as you're thinking about it, it doesn't have to be one sort of pattern, one size fits all. So personally, what I've decided for my collection, anything that is in a media format that the case comes in a plastic type case, I try to go after a complete type inbox setting. I don't have any sort of stigma about having it to be new. For me, as long as it's in good shape and they can play, I'm okay with it. Now, you'll see I have many titles that are still sealed versus some that are open. Okay, and it comes down to really an opportunistic perspective. Sometimes I find some sealed items that are really good price, hence I add them to my collection. Other times it's, you know, if I find them in a complete inbox, they're in good shape, let's go for it. Okay, so anything that's in a plastic media, CDs, Genesis games, Master System games, anything that has a clamshell, Sega CD, etc., those I've chosen to have them in a complete set. Now, where I've decided not to do that has been with anything that comes in a paper type box. So Super Nintendo games, NES games, Game Boy games, all those I've decided for my collection, I just wanted the cartridges. Why? Because the boxes typically don't weather well. You know, finding sets and getting them perfect, it's just, in my mind, too troublesome, and it gets very, very expensive. I just didn't see the value in it. But they look cool, don't get me wrong. They look beautiful on the shelf, they look beautiful being presented. But again, that was not the main objective when I decided to start collecting. But think about those different dimensions and what do you want in them, because it will affect severely, again, the pricing of building up these collections. So anyway, sharing a little bit of some of the different choices I've made for my collection so that you can reflect and decide what you want to do with yours. Again, there's no right and wrong answer. It's all about what you're looking to do with that collection and what do you want it for. Okay. There's some people nowadays as an investment that are looking only for WADA certified or different certified type games in a sealed state or in some other. Again, nothing wrong with that. Just decide what you want, but be ready for the level of investment that will carry. And think about, too, how long it might take you to build up the collection that you're looking to have, because it will be affected by that. The next big thing to consider as far as the collection component is really to start thinking about what you want to collect and start establishing small goals. This collection I didn't build up at once. No way. This took me a while. A long, like I said, 20 years to build it up. But what I did was starting to set small little goals into building this collection. So first off, I started out with just buying the titles that I played when I was a kid. And I collected those. Then I started going into some opportunistic buys. You know, I'd find some really interesting titles, interesting prices, add them up to a collection. And then I got to a point I decided, you know, I was going to complete certain collections for certain systems. And here's where I really recommend that you think and establish some very precise goals and start small. Don't start with some of these big collections. So the first one I targeted as an example was to complete the Nintendo 64 collection. It's not a big collection. It's only 196 games. And did it fairly quick. And, you know, that every time you hit one of those milestones of completing one of those collections, you get some immediate satisfaction and pride because you just accomplished a really cool goal. So start to build up slowly into those goals and building up your collection with what you want. That way you won't feel sometimes the desperation that comes into completing a complete collection or into going after, like I've chosen, almost everything I can get. So again, think about why you're collecting, what condition you want your collection to be in, your games, new, used, sealed, complete, and think about where you want to go with your collection, setting small goals to achieve it. Okay. I hope you guys enjoy the video and learn from some of these tips. definitely, again, by collecting 20 years, I got plenty of stories to share, of do's and don'ts, and I'm very happy to share those so you guys and everybody can um, learn and use them and avoid some of the mistakes I've made during my collection. Please feel free to share some of your comments in the chat. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'd love to hear also your personal thoughts on, if you're collecting, why you've chosen to collect. Love to hear that. Also, we have a Facebook group called Video Games Fans. You'll see it on the link in my video. Love for you guys to join there as well, and a great platform for us to also chat and share some of these thoughts and experiences. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.